passing the host. Oh,
got it.
I am the host now.
Wait, Raleigh, you're doing it?
No, it just asked me.
No, I just did it.
Jake's doing it. It's happening.
Okay.
Welcome
What's happening?
to the GR Pod, episode 4. Tour de Ski, U.S. Biathlon Nationals. And by nationals, I mean trials and maybe Olympic trials. And maybe we'll do some other stuff too. All right, to start, because we ended last time with a quote, I have another quote to share because there's so much racing going on and I love it. It's by Winston Churchill. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they are figuratively tapped on the shoulder and offered the chance to do a very special thing, unique to them and fitted to their talents. What a tragedy if that moment finds them unprepared or unqualified for that which could have been their finest hour. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Woo!
Some deep words.
Yeah, deep words. To each there comes in their lifetime a special moment when they're figuratively tapped on the shoulder. I love it.
Do any of you feel like you've experienced that moment before? Does that take anyone back to a specific time?
That takes me back to pursuit races with starters and not with the clock. And you would be like at the start of the race and someone like holding you and you'd be trying to like start early. That's what it reminds me of, when someone's literally like holding on your shoulder and you're trying to like ease out of the gate like 2-3 seconds beforehand. Yeah. The Vancouver Olympics ruined this experience for everyone, but back in the day, Can
you elaborate on that? What happened in the Vancouver Olympics?
Vancouver Olympics, the volunteers messed up and they let people go at the wrong time in the pursuit race, in the men's pursuit race at the Olympics, and it completely like scrambled the race. And there were like people that were like seemingly in one place but actually were in another place, and it was a huge mess. And so after that, that's why when you go to the start of the pursuit race, this just has your name and your time, and there's nobody there except the people like making sure that the timing is working. It used to be that there was like a starter there and they would like go like boop. They would be like the wand basically. But yeah, North America saw it to the end of that, which is probably for the best. It was going to happen eventually, but when it happened at the Olympics, it was a real calamity. If you go back and watch the video, like Bjorn Ferry, like the Swedish guy, stand there and he's like, I'm going to go at like that time, like look at the clock, like that. And there's like people in the back yelling, like, and the volunteers go to the phone, they don't know what to do. And yeah, not the Vancouver OC's finest organizing hour, but compelling television, super dramatic.
Man, this is like the opposite of the Ruka pursuit this year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Jake, to me, it brings to mind like making a specific move in a race. And I know Kelsey had mentioned wanting to talk at some point about like leading from start to finish, which I've never done in a race. But this like specific moment when we're tapped on the shoulder, I made a move in the Cordelopit my senior year in high school on like Torch and Jacob Ellingson and somebody else. And it was like my race plan after like the 19K water stop or wherever the last water stop is. And I was like, that is my moment. And then I executed it. And that was one of them. And then the other one was in Middlebury Carnival. And I made a move off the front, like up the second clover of that race course. And was just like in the zone, felt like I had been tapped on the shoulder. People scream. I had never been in the lead of a race before, or of a carnival, I guess. And then Fabian hunted me down, but I got second, but we went 1-2, which was sweet. And that like moment in the front of the race where I was like completely in it, trying to do a very special thing unique to me. Those are the two times where like I made specific moves. Yeah.
Mine was definitely when I got my first World Cup start out of the blue for a relay and went there the next day. Because I took that kind of as like someone else taps you on the shoulder and is like, hey, you got to do this thing. And I remember warming up and like with all the other like last legs and seeing Tarjei Bo out there and just being like, man, I'd only seen these guys on TV. And that was a moment I was like, man, am I ready for this? It was cool.
For the record, you were.
Yeah.
Maybe not to take it to Tarjei Bo, but it went okay.
Can we just take a moment to celebrate the great results of the U.S. Biathlon, or like, I guess the entire team in Oberhof today, everyone being in the top 35 of the race. So
Yay.
Whoop. Yay, go team.
One team, one dream.
Well, the next section on this podcast I want to do is where in the world are the Cedar Sprigs? And for those of you who don't know, the Cedar Sprigs are the Green Racing Project mascot, if that makes sense, if a Cedar Sprig can be a mascot, because it is. So where are the Sprigs? Let's just go around here, say where we are, what we're doing, and then we'll cover some of the folks or the squads that aren't here. Jake, where are you?
Oberhof, Germany.
What are you
Okay.
doing?
yeah, what are you doing there?
I'm racing
I might have
biathlon.
spoiled it already.
I'm racing biathlon.
And who do you race for?
I race for the United States of America and the Craftsbury Green Racing Project Cedar Sprigs, sir.
All right, Kelsey, what about you? Since we have to really ask the pointed questions here.
Well, I'm in Oserby, so walk. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cut this out. I'm in Oserby, Slovakia, for IBU Cup 4, and which is also the last 2 races of Olympic trials for those of us still trying to qualify for the last couple spots available. And here with me are or is Hallie Grossman, and soon to join will be Luke and Raleigh.
Ah, nice. And Raleigh, you want to cover it for us?
Yeah, Luke and I are in Craftsbury on separate ends of the athlete house next to our respective wood fires. We are about to do a lot of packing and do a bunch of laundry before we fly to Slovakia to join whoever is not on the Olympic team for some IBU Cup action.
Sweet. Yeah. And then our skiers are out at Soldier Hollow in Utah for nationals. We've had some really good racing yesterday. Both Adam Martin and Caitlin Patterson won the national championships for the 10 and 15K Classic. And Caitlin had also won the skate sprint at the beginning of the week, amongst other very solid performances by the other skiers on both the men and the women's side. Yeah, and Susan is also in Oberhof with Jake. And then, I mean, we might as well, we have a whole rowing team, and that I do have to give a big shout out to, because they have been hitting the ski trails with enthusiasm. A couple of them probably in their first couple of weeks of skiing went out and skied 50K for some reason. But they're getting fit on the skis. So at some point we'll talk a little bit more about the Cedar Sprig rowers on this podcast. Cool. All right.
So,
next
runners too that are preparing for marathons and or ripping around on the indoor tracks, and we'll get them involved at some point too.
Oh yeah, there you go. The GRP run. Thanks, Raleigh.
Those rowers better be signing up for the Berkey pretty soon then. It's probably full actually, but they skied 50K, they're ready.
The rowers should ski to Berkey. That'd be great. And now we move on to Google Translate gossip. And surprisingly, I am actually going to start this segment this week because I was poking around. If that's okay, Raleigh, do I have permission?
Oh, of course.
I was poking around NRK, and I came across a great story, which happened in the which race was it? In the Lenzerheide sprint. Matilda Mirvold, a Norwegian skier, got her first World Cup podium. She was second in Lenzerheide, and her sister, I guess named Ida, in Oslo, in her apartment, started screaming so much when her sister Matilda got the podium on the World Cup that the police were called and came and knocked on her door. And there was a police report, quote, "We have been in an apartment in the city center after reports of loud women screaming. It turned out that the reasons for the screams were that one of the residents' family members had ended up on the podium in the Tour de Ski. The patrol quickly went from detective to congratulation mode." And then later we have another great quote by Matilda about her sister. Quote, "I knew she was eager, but that it was so bad, I did not know." And I think eager meaning excited. Raleigh?
Nice. That's a great one. I don't have too much to share. Besides, I have, like I said, Ski Nordique is my number one source, and according to them, has a positive PCR and will be isolated for 14 days. They think that he got COVID training camp in Bulgaria, where his wife came, and he shared a room with her. I think that, it seems like the Russian team's protocols are they not isolate the whole team, but that is a huge bummer for him, obviously. Other things sort of floating around the airwaves. Lots of talk about booster shots to attend the Olympic Games, and also just with a lot of rising cases, and as Latipov showed, the risk of infection is certainly there, that this is sort of crunch time for a lot of athletes. And I was thinking about this, that's a bit interesting when it comes to like European athletes, where they are going to races and then going home to their families. And that's actually like a bit more risk than a lot of the North American athletes that stay over and stay sort of in their team zone for the duration, or they go to a training camp and everything is pretty insular. So yeah, that's something to watch in the coming days, is what sort of moves European athletes make along their travel and training camp plans to try to minimize what seems to be a very real risk.
There you go. Cool.
Russia is in our same hotel here in Oberhof. So we were in the buffet with Latipov before that test came out. So it's kind of interesting. So far, no other positive tests as far as I know. But the interesting thing that's relatable to Google Translate gossip is that we only found out about that because Claire Egan religiously reads the RBU's tweets. There's no sort of like, Lowell didn't know about it, who's our high performance director. Nothing came down from the IBU to like other teams staying in the hotel. So we also only found out that information because of Google Translate gossip.
There you go. Good reason to be online.
Wasn't me.
And reading other people's tweets. All right, cool. Well, let's move to the Tour de Ski. I mean, a lot has happened, especially on the skiing front, to talk about. We probably won't get into it all, but Tour de Ski, we had 6 races in 8 days. Kleibo won the overall over Bolshinov, and then we had Nabrieva for the Russians on the women's side, win over Ebba Anderson and Heidi Wang in second and third. Of course, there was the whole shebang where Frida Karlsson, shouldered Jessie Diggins. What was that?
I said, put Jessie Diggins into the wall.
Put Jessie Diggins straight into the boards, and essentially, I mean, that was kind of it for Jessie in the Tour. Really, she had a lot to come back from. Frida got a 3-minute penalty and left the Tour, so that was really like a turning point on the women's side. Other highlights in my mind were Jessie Diggins' free skate, no pole skate to the finish line to win the 10K skate, which I had heard about, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, she just like free skated and like beat people. And then I watched it and I was like, whoa, she free skated and beat people, and it was aggressive and sort of like weird in a way, but just worked so well that it was surprising. And then I'm just going to throw out there, obviously Kleibo won the overall, he won the 15K skate and classic. And in an individual classic race, Ivo Niskanen is very hard to beat. And for that race, for Kleibo to beat Niskanen by, I think, at least 20 seconds, I thought, like, maybe it's obvious to some people that Kleibo is on very good form, but like that race was what told me that Kleibo is on exceptional form across all disciplines right now. So I don't know if you guys have major takeaways. Maybe we could just go around and share what your major reflections were.
You talking about the mass start there, Luke? The 15K mass start?
No, I think he won. Was it a mass start?
Yeah, it was a mass start because Ivo dominated in that 15K in Lenzerheide when it was really snowy.
Oh shoot! Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Still pretty impressive to get that big of a gap, though. I didn't see that race, so.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question about this mainly is directed at Raleigh, or maybe you, Luke, since you might know the rules on this. So yellow and red cards, like, so Frida got a yellow card, which happened to be her second, because apparently she got one in Ruka too. And is that why she then was disqualified? Would she not have been disqualified had she not have gotten the yellow card also in Ruka? And then also asking, the 3-minute penalty, is that specific to the tour? Because like you would, and like another mini tour, would you also get a 3-minute penalty, or is this like a special tour rule? And if it had only been a yellow card, would she have still gotten that 3-minute penalty?
So I don't. Maybe Luke knows. Luke, do you know for sure the card rules?
I don't know for sure.
Okay, so I don't know the card rules. We had a producer Jamie here. He could pull that up for us, but I'm not sure what the repercussion of 2 yellow cards is. But I am quite certain that the 3-minute penalty was given by the Tour de Ski jury to Frida, and I don't think that was related to the carding. It's decision. I'm just hypothesizing. I didn't know how to execute for that decision. So yeah, I'm really sure it was an unfortunate that that it did. Everyone would have liked to have seen Frida ski till the end, and how that would live with her in the mix for the duration.
Ollie, we got you going
Jake,
in and out a little bit, but
yeah, I was gonna say, Jake, was that really choppy for you too?
yeah, it was. So on the recording, I think we'll miss some of that, but that's all right. I mean, it sounded like Raleigh was concluding there that it would have been great to see the rest of the tour with Frida in the mix, and Jesse too, obviously. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. One of the reasons why I brought that up is because I really want there to be 3-minute majors in skiing now, so that when someone lets someone off, everyone can go 3 like they do in hockey with 5. I don't know. Maybe there isn't a lot of overlap between hockey fans and Nordic fans, but that's something I'm rooting for.
Yeah. I mean, one of my maybe, like, I wasn't sure whether to share it, but I kind of, after that race, I sort of wanted there to be like an enforcer on a ski team, or like at least thinking about who would be the enforcer for different ski teams when like somebody took your teammate out. Like, obviously we're not going to like actually fight, but like, is there some sort of like, smack talking, or like, I don't know, just a little bit of intimidation could happen, just to be like, you don't do that to my teammate. You don't do that to Jesse,
Like after Bolshinov shoved Mackie last year, if one of the Finns was like the designated enforcer, because they just kind of stood around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
that was
when that happened last year, when the Finnish guys came in, or one of the Russian guys came in and kind of cleared out the Finnish dudes that were kind of starting to pool in. So, I mean, the Russians, Finland and hockey are both big hockey nations, but the Russian team, just went into team sports mode there, and the Finnish guys didn't really seem like they knew what to do. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, maybe we actually need to promote like team peacekeepers, like people that could go shake hands. Like that maybe is like more of the appropriate sports.
Luke, you know what the people want.
They want a dance off. I think the Raleigh wrestling tiebreaker dance off idea for Nations Cup and biathlon, that should move over to cross country skiing for deciding these disputes.
Well, my takeaway from the tour is I just want to point out the performances of Novi McCabe and Sophia Laukley in the hill climb. I think both of them have amazing fitness, and it was just really cool. Novi in particular, I have to say I know really well because we're both from the Meta Valley, but to see her, know that she was capable of a performance like that, and to see her execute it and just really out ski a lot of really big names going up that hill was really amazing. So kudos to the both of them.
Yeah, that was really cool. And it seemed like they were, they played it very well. They didn't charge straight from the beginning, because it seems like those last 2K things really spread out. And if you can see that well, you can get a lot of places. which it seemed like both of them did.
And now we have at least 7 women with top 8s on the World Cup in 1 year.
Well, that was gonna be my question. Is I know there's some different rules about the tour, in particular the hill climb. So I don't know. Do we know what if that still counts as like a top 8? Just
Yeah,
objectively.
honestly, I'm not sure. I was reading some stuff that was talking about like USS whatever S exemptions for like which races didn't count. And it at least hinted that maybe even Dresden didn't count for a top 8, which I thought Hannah Halverson had made it based off of Dresden. So I haven't seen that list of like exemption races where the criteria don't count. So maybe that's it. But I remember these ladies are like in the vein of Liz Steven, who's just like super impressive and would always have a standout hill climb, and it was awesome. But then there was always the question, like, does this count? Should it count? All that good stuff.
Yeah, but I do think that they've also been having solid results in other races too. So I think this is just maybe a look ahead into the future of what they're capable of. So
Yeah, I think Sophia Laukley was already ranked in the top 50 of the distance list at least. I think Novi was just outside.
yeah, so I don't
Okay.
know if my question was like, is this enough to kind of bump Novi into those distance top 50 after this performance?
I will check.
So my 2 takeaways from the Torski mostly revolve around the snowy cloud Lanzer Heide. And the things that I noticed first is that I race IBU Cup Biathlon Lanzer Heide. It is a dual purpose cross country and course. And I think some things with the results there happened that were similar to the results in Shushan this year on the cross country World Cup when they ran them on the biathlon trails, was that you saw some different people near the top, and you saw in general like some pretty close gaps. And I think it's really interesting when you take away like the World Cup cross country course features of like a really, really map, or, you know, much more kind of like straightforward, like up, down, turn, like still transitional sections. And then you put the same field onto a more variable biathlon style course with fewer huge uphills. And you kind of see people that are good at different techniques, or you see the margins close and you get a little bit of different result. And I sort of wonder if this is something going forward where it's going to be more difficult to put snow on long loops with big hills, and especially with FIS going towards, you know, smaller loops and trying to do different venues, that you might see different folks near the top or more competitive racing just because of the character of the course. My other takeaway was that it seemed like in both races, the Finn had a definitive advantage in material. They figured out some sort of kick and glide solution. I think you really saw in the women's race where they really stacked the top 15, 16 places or so. And that sort of made me think towards the promised of not yet realized fluoro-free future, where when you remove fluoros and all of this institutional knowledge that techs and teams and athletes have built up around what works and what doesn't work, and that all gets taken away, that we might get more days where some team has figured out a structure or a wax solution or some other solution that is much better than the other teams have, or that the other teams just don't have. And you'll see sort of more like in the lower level races where some team has a more definitive wax advantage. I feel like that happens rarely on the World Cup now, but I think maybe looking in the future, we might see that happen more often, which will be, again, more variable results and it's a little bit of drama as well.
A new drama every day.
New drama every day.
And you thought those races specifically showed that difference in like ski ability because it was just tough waxing conditions, or why did you think those races specifically?
Because it was tough waxing conditions. Yeah, because it was lots of new wet snow, which is always sort of like who has a really good pair of zero skis, that they only ski on once every 5 years in the back of the bag that get brought out for this race. Or, what wax tech, is really, really good at making Harries, or, what incredible technician can take the Mods Who's zero material and laminate it into a Fisher ski because the Mod Suit Zeros are better than the Fisher Zeros, and we're going to put that material into the other ski because this athlete skis on this brand and they can't ski on the other brand type of thing. So anytime those variable ways, that's when you really see like the professional expertise of the technicians come out. And you can also see where like some technical teams take a risk and it works, and take a risk and it doesn't work. And so sort of made me think that, no fluoros, lots of new waxes, greater focus on structure and ski material. Maybe that's a little look into the future. We got a little more of that.
I just hope that doesn't go down to like the domestic level. I mean, I know it does, right? Like Craftsbury, for example, we're super fortunate. We have Nick Brown, amazing wax tech, but at the same time, it's kind of a bummer at like the college level if like some team has just a huge advantage by like having, I guess it's part of the game, but by having like some tech that has been on the World Cup versus another college team that doesn't. And when you want to take your best developmental athletes and help them get to the next level, and skis kind of get in the way of trying to figure out who that might be.
Yeah, I also do think though that the non-fluoro, or like non-fluoro is becoming a thing, is that it's a real opportunity to kind of mix up this institutional knowledge and allow for like women coaches to make a big entrance in sort of a field that's been a little bit resistant to them because of that like institutional knowledge and barriers for entry just based on the culture in waxing. So.
Because women coaches might not have as much experience historically with like fluoros, but they might have more or the same level of experience with structure and skis being as important as they are going to be.
Well, it's leveling the playing field, I think, as far as knowledge. And I think women, it sort of, I think, opens the door for more people with less experience to that. It's like reducing that gap, where you have maybe older male coaches that have been doing it for a long time, and there's just a lot of unspoken knowledge. It's not very clear, and now we're kind of taking the power out of that, so to speak, and so that it allows for
the same spot.
Yeah, everyone's starting fresh, and and then that allows a woman who isn't part of maybe this old sort of club, so to speak, to like come in and do just as well, so
there you go. Makes sense.
Luke, what else do you got for us?
Cool. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to share about the tour?
Yeah, I'll share my takeaways. I had two. My number one takeaway was thinking about last year compared to this year when the Norwegians didn't come. And was there anybody else who didn't come that any of you guys know of? Did the Swedes not? No, the Swedes came because Frida was there, because that was part of my thing. Jump in if I'm mistaken on that. But I just remember last year there being so much speculation about like, oh, well, this doesn't maybe really count because the Norwegians aren't here, or like there's an asterisk next to this. And I was definitely one of those people that was kind of like, okay, Jesse won the tour, but and like I look at this year and it was a battle between Jesse and Frida once again. And of course, Neprieva came at the end and had some great races and ended up winning. But for a lot of it, it was the same sort of battle as we had last year. Johaug wasn't here, I understand. Maybe a few of the other good Norwegians were resting, but like, Norway doesn't so much have the power that they maybe once did. And, it might be, well, you had brought it up in a couple episodes ago that maybe there's a little more parity now in an Olympic year that these other teams you are able to use a little bit more resources. going into this year. I don't know why, but I just thought that was interesting this year. And I think it kind of proved maybe some of the naysayers of last year, including myself, wrong. You know, I think that win from Jessie just became a lot more impressive to me this year, considering that I don't think that, you know, Norway was as strong as maybe I would have thought or would have made a huge difference in the racing. So
Yeah.
that was one of my takeaways.
I-
Similarly,
I also don't think.
go ahead, Kelsey.
Oh, I was gonna say I also don't think that Johaug necessarily would have won the Tour. I mean, there's
No.
a lot of weight put on the sprints, and we just haven't seen Johaug be able to, like. I don't think she would have gotten any bonus points or any of the premiums that that Jessie and Frida were getting in the sprints. So
Yeah. And she's been challenged, I think, way more this year, it seems to me. So I think last year I would have thought that she would have run away with the Tour, or Vang would have run away with the Tour. But yeah, not at all. I wouldn't think that now. The other observation going off of that was Julia Kern. Last year, Julia Kern had that third place at the end of the first trimester when the Norwegians didn't come, and maybe there were a few other teams that didn't come for that one. But I remember it kind of being a thing of like, once again, oh, well, it was a sprint and, you know, all these other teams didn't come. Totally valid. But this year, Julia has like just totally brought it to a new level. She's so consistent. She's showing that like that result from last year was just the beginning. And to see her have some really good results at the beginning of the Tour de Ski and obviously in period 1-2 was really cool. So I thought that was awesome. My other takeaway was just Klæbo and his just utter dominance in sprinting. Like, I'm at the point watching these races now where I'm just like, Klæbo can be in any position in the field, and I'm asking myself, like, he's going to win, and I'm like, how is he going to win? Like, how is he going to do it from here? Because it's just a given. And I don't think I've ever like watched Petter and thought those same thoughts. It's more like you're just amazed when Petter does it. I'm not amazed when Klæbo does it anymore. It's just expected now. And I just don't understand what it is that allows him to be so much more relaxed than everybody else and turn it on when it matters. Like, everybody else seems like they're all out sprinting and he's just chilling. And these are the best in the world. It amazes me. I don't know if you have any thoughts on why that is. I have ideas, but I really can't figure it out.
I mean, Jake, which one was the one we watched together? There was a skate sprint, and he spent like the first loop kind of in the back, mixing around in the middle, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, he's going, and the other skiers in that pack, which were all the top sprinters, just looked like they weren't moving. So
yeah. And if we were talking about the same one, it was a skate sprint at the beginning of the tour where I was talking to Raleigh about whether I was thinking about like, what could we put together, like clips of like the 5 most like influential, just greatest, like either like strides or like 5 seconds of skiing. And Klæbo in that race made a move V2 alternating into a downhill. And the like power that he created in like 3 V2 alternate strokes, and then like a couple free skates over the hill and the tuck, and he had 10 or 15 meters, and it was so beautiful. And it's like this power application which is relaxed yet so dynamic, so balanced, and it happened so quickly, and I was amazed by that like 5 seconds of skiing.
Yeah, for me, honestly, it was the classic one that really just like was another level. Paul and I were watching it. Yes, Paul Schomer on the podcast. Right here.
Hi,
hey, Paul. Nice job today, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were watching that race with Klæbo.
The Klæbo race.
Yeah, the classic sprint.
Oh yeah, he was just going with everyone else, and we were like, what allows him, or what is he doing differently that he's just so far and above everyone else? But yeah, I think
he can last through the heats like so well, and I think